You're listening to the Doctor Is In podcast. This is the show where you get the best tips, tricks, and nutritional hacks to help you and your family get healthier. You'll also hear what works and what doesn't work so you don't have to waste your time and money. All right, let's get started.
Hello, my name is Dr. Tony Martin Jr.
And I'm Dr. Martin Sr.
And this is the Doctor Is In podcast, and this is episode 105. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about something that, quite frankly, is something that we hear absolutely every day in our clinic or by email, all the different ways that people can get a hold of us. We hear about this absolutely every day. And so we're actually excited to do this episode because we're going to try to answer one of the big questions surrounding the thyroid. So this episode is all about the thyroid.
Yep.
Now, I'll just kind of read. This is an email that comes in, something like this almost every day.
Yeah, very typical, right?
Yeah, and without even, that's not even exaggerating. We hear this kind of stuff absolutely every day. So I'm just going to read you what somebody is sending in. So 6 years ago, they haven't felt well since 6 years ago, but my thyroid tests always seem to be within range. I have gained weight, and I continue to gain, even though I starve myself. My memory is very poor. I have severely dry skin. I'm not sleeping, and my hair is thinning. You could sense the frustration just even in the email, and it's amazing. They're essentially reading off the dictionary of symptoms for thyroid, yet their tests are within range.
Yeah. And how often, again, do we... Well, as a matter of fact, it's every day in the office. And this is so typical of women. And, your expression, I've used it in the office all the time, that the thyroid doesn't act independently.
Yeah, and we'll talk about
that.
that.
Real
yeah,
key
we'll get
the thyroid.
We'll talk about that, and we'll kind of go into why this is something that's happening. But essentially, there are three things that we hear very common about the thyroid. The first one is very similar to this lady that emailed us recently saying that, hey, listen, I got all these symptoms. When I look them up, it says thyroid, but my thyroid tests are within range.
Yeah.
So that's one group of people and that we hear from very consistently. Another group is, hey, listen, I had a lot of symptoms of thyroid. So I went and saw my family doctor. I had blood tests done. Test came back. I had a sluggish thyroid. So they jumped on medication, usually Synthroid, and the symptoms didn't really improve, but when I went back and got my blood test again, the levels were normal.
Yeah.
And that's very common as well. So they had, their blood levels were low. They had it tested. They took meds. Blood levels went back up. And
but they still don't feel good.
No, they still don't feel well. Then we also hear this a lot as well. Very similar situation. They have every symptom of thyroid. They go get it tested. Sure enough, it turns out low. They get on medication, they're feeling better, then they go get tested, everything's normal, then all of a sudden they're not feeling good anymore. So they go back, levels are low, they up their medication, they're feeling better. Then rinse and repeat over and over again.
Yeah.
And they're constantly having to adjust their medication upwards. They're taking more and more and more. And at one point you have to ask yourself the question, when is something else going on? And that's what you just mentioned is that the thyroid rarely acts alone.
Yes.
And that's just from years of clinical experience. Yeah. You talk about this all the time. The thyroid may be the thing that's giving them symptoms, but there's something deeper going on, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode.
Yeah, and we've put this really too in a course, right, in our metabolic storm. But that's what we want to sort of just sort of skim over today. We go into great detail online, but, let me just give you, perhaps a few symptoms that
and that's what I was going to suggest that we might go through. I'm going to read you some of the symptoms, and you can give some of them as well.
Okay.
And I thought I would ask you how they present themselves and how, what do the patients coming in with these symptoms, how do they describe them? Because sometimes, for example, fatigue, that's usually a very common symptom of thyroid issues is fatigue.
Your thyroid, just to remind people, your thyroid is your gas pedal in your car, right? It really does. And again, just understand that men are 100% different their thyroid, even though we got the same organ. We don't have, I had a patient come in the other day and said something that I really found, I just like the way they said it. So I said, I like that. And she said, well, women, we have a lot of moving parts, right? And yeah, like women are more complicated because their endocrine system is so interdependent on each of the organs that are there. If you look at the thyroid, you look at the ovaries, you look at the adrenals. Obviously, men don't have ovaries, but we have adrenal glands and we have the thyroid gland, and yet ours are completely independent. The adrenals in a man had no effect on the thyroid, and the thyroid has no effect on the adrenals. But in women, it's all part of the metabolic storm. If things go off and they're not balanced in their hormones, they're going to start getting symptoms, and this is what we'll go over, how they present themselves. So let me answer the first one, fatigue. Again, the body's screaming. If someone is tired, and they're constantly tired, and, it's the first question that we ask in the clinic. Okay, I say I'm 10 out of 10,
Yeah, you're 65,
yeah,
and you've got tremendous energy.
Yeah, I feel good, right? And,
yeah.
I got to get to bed, and I got to get my sleep, and blah, blah, blah. But, I get up in the morning, and
yeah, you're ready to go. You feel good.
Yeah, ready to go, right? Give me a
I'm 44, and I have no energy issues at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't go in. I couldn't go in and tell somebody that I have low energy because I don't. I got enough energy.
But clue number one, that your body...
And we can't stress this one enough.
No, it's the clue number one. Your body, there's something...
Yeah, if your energy level dips, your body is telling you that something is going on.
Yeah.
So a big symptom with thyroid is low energy.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, the thyroid is kind of like the gas pedal.
Yeah.
So it's only normal that when the thyroid starts to get sluggish, their energy levels dip as well.
Yeah.
Now, some of the ways, what's one of the most common ways you hear fatigue described?
They give me a number. I try and get a number, right? And women especially.
So is there a number that for thyroid that they kind of always fall around?
Well, they're under 5.
Under 5.
Okay. So like I'm 10 out of 10. I say, well, I'm looking right at the patient, right? Give me something subjective, put a number to it. Oh, doc, I'm not even 5, right? Okay. Well, that's pretty tired, right? You're not, and some of them, I mean, you wouldn't believe how many times I hear 1, right? I'm 1 out of 10. Or I hear I'm -2.
And that's, I'll tell you, fatigue is one of those symptoms that is extremely frustrating for people because, you put yourself in their shoes and they may look okay. Yeah, they may look tired, but it's hard to get across to somebody, to a spouse or a friend or a family member, how tired they are. Mm-hmm. So the person the people living with them may say, yeah, they're tired. But it's really hard to gather. If you're out shopping or you're out doing something, if I twist my ankle and I have I put a cast on it or I tape it up or I get crutches, people will see me walking and they'll say, oh, look at that guy's got an injury. When you're tired, you just don't get that sympathy.
No.
You don't get that empathy. And people, how often do you hear patients coming in complaining of low energy who somewhere along the line, family doctor, friend said, you're depressed. It's depression.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be depressed, too, if I had no energy all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so fatigue's a big one, right? That's a big one. And I'll read some of these off quickly, and if there's any that you want to expand on, just let me know. So another, obviously, a big one as well is increased sensitivity to cold.
Yeah. And again, it's your gas pedal in your car. Your thyroid is your furnace, right? It's your thermostat, right? And again, women, cold hands, cold feet. They're cold all the time. And if they have, for example, they come in, they're menopausal, a lot of them are perimenopausal, now they can't turn the furnace off, right? Because now they're sweating all the time and they got hot flashes and whatever. And again, that's the thyroid, but that's because of the estrogen, progesterone being out of balance. So it's different. But people that are cold, and you'll get this, they're cold all the time. They're freezing. They got to put a sweater on, even on a warm day. Yeah, that's how they'll present themselves. And I'll often, just because of I have them in the office, I'll touch the end of their nose, and I mean, you could make a popsicle there.
So here's another one: constipation, for the very same reason you described. When everything slows down, so does digestion. That's another one.
Yeah.
Dry skin.
Very dry skin. And you see it. You see, I'm very observant, right? Like, I've been around a long time. So, if somebody comes in the office and then, Sometimes I'll have a look at them, look at their skin, and look at their hair. I look at their eyebrows and all this and that. Things are thinning out and that. You go, well, right in my head right away, I know it's the thyroid.
Here's another one as well, unexplained weight gain. And we hear this a lot of different ways. I read that email at the beginning. She's saying, listen, even if I'm not eating anything, I'm gaining weight.
Well, look, I'll tell women a lot of times once we pinpointed that they're hormonally out of whack, I say, you can literally tape your mouth shut and, I'll feed you with a straw so that will keep you alive, but you're going to gain weight.
And it's frustrating, right? Because you have,
oh, man,
how many women come in and say they're eating, around 1,000 calories and they're doing all this cardio and they're not losing any weight. In fact, they're usually gaining weight, which is a tremendous indication, again, that there's something deeper going on.
Yeah, the metabolism's not working.
Yeah, and
right?
we'll talk about the different reasons why in a few minutes here. But another one that's common as well is their voice gets hoarse.
Yeah, voice changes. I've had women come in and say, I used to be able to sing, and I can't sing anymore, right? Their voices are changing. They get a little bit of swelling around their neck oftentimes. We'll do a little palpation around the neck, and you'll feel,
so puffy face, puffy neck. That's another common one. Muscle weakness. Yeah. Muscle aches and pain is another something that a lot of people, will tell us that they're getting a lot of different pain, a lot of different aches. Swelling in the joints is another big one. Thinning hair.
Yeah.
And that's a big complaint.
Yeah.
And you can't blame them because how often do you hear that people say that they're just losing their hair, it's thinning right out?
Yeah. And a lot of times, like women they're able to hide it. But because I'll say, well, I can't see it. And then they'll move their hair a little bit. So you see the patch here? I go, oh, yeah, I can see that. Well, I say, well, I'm hiding that, right? But they know. I never argue with a woman about her hair because they know their hair. One thing they do, they know. And their hairdresser knows too, right? If they're getting their hair cut, then the hairdresser say, hey, you're thinning out, right? This is so common, and that's the thyroid. Hair is thyroid. If your thyroid's not working properly, your hair's not going to be right.
No,
right?
And that's why it's so common, and that's why it's so frustrating because they'll have all these symptoms, and they can't get anything to show up on blood tests. So they're usually a lot of time the doctor's like, wow, there's nothing wrong with you. You're fine. But how can a person feel fine when they have no energy, their hair is thinning?
Yeah. Their eyebrows, they should look in the mirror.
Yeah, their eyebrows.
They see those edges there. They're starting to thin out. Again, those are just markers in the body that, the thyroid's not up to snuff. It's not working properly.
Now, what about the brain? What kind of symptoms do you see in people coming in with thyroid issues? What kind of brain?
Well, again, if you look at the metabolism slowing down, right? The cognitive, the function, the brain fog is very, very common. They just don't feel good. They're often, they're searching for words, and they. It's just a common lethargic feeling that they get. And they never seem, one of the expressions they use, they don't seem to have enough oxygen going up to the brain. But again, if your metabolism is slowed down, the gas pedal isn't functioning at a high level, these symptoms are common.
What we see with this are frustrated women.
It rarely happens in a man. It can happen.
It can happen, but
it's a rare occurrence in a man.
In the clinic alone, what is it, 100 to 1?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I tell our staff, I said, think about it. If we see 5 men in a year, we see thousands of patients every year. If we see 5 men with a thyroid condition, they say, yeah, it's so true. It's so rare, right? How many women do we see where we've diagnosed, hey, you got a thyroid, your thyroid's not up to snuff. And you know what I like? Because patients are very smart. People that are smart today, it's amazing to me because people are, and oftentimes I have patients tell me, Doc, I knew it. I knew that I wasn't right, and I kept, insisting that my thyroid wasn't working properly, and finally you got it, right? Like that you said, yeah, it's because they're not doing the exhaustive tests. You have to look at everything. You can't just look at the thyroid independently. You have to look at the adrenal glands. You have to look at the amount of estrogen a woman is producing. How much progesterone are they producing?
And let's talk about that. Let's go through a few things. First of all, one of the things that we say a lot of times in our newsletters, or you say a lot in the clinic, and we talk about in the Metabolic Storm course, is that the thyroid does not act alone. The thyroid is essentially a puppet, right? If you look at how a thyroid works, and, we're not going to go into too much detail, but, it all starts in the brain, right? You have the hypothalamus that basically tells the pituitary to tell the thyroid to do something. You got a CEO in the hypothalamus, you got middle management in the pituitary, and then you have the thyroid who's the worker. And already you can see that creates a little bit of an issue. There could be an issue between the hypothalamus and the pituitary, and you can have a normal functioning thyroid.
Yeah.
But if the signals aren't getting there properly, you can have thyroid issues.
Yeah.
So you can have normal blood testing because the thyroid levels are normal in a sense.
They're circulating. Your TSH is there, right? It's in the blood, so it's circulating. But so what? If it's not getting into the cells, if it's not doing what it's meant to do at the cellular level, then it's not working properly.
So the hypothalamus will tell the pituitary, which will get the thyroid to basically to secrete a bunch of hormones. And then the thyroid, what it does is it makes a T4, right? T3, T2, T1,
yeah.
And a little bit of calcitonin. And that's what the thyroid does. Now, T3 is the active form. That's what you need. That's what the cells need. Well, listen, almost 90% of the hormones that are made by the thyroid come in the form of T4, but it has to be converted into T3, and that conversion takes place in the liver. So you make this T4, it's converted in the liver. Again, you can already see some of the issues. If you have an issue with your liver, if you have insulin resistance, fatty liver,
and isn't that common?
90% of the hormone is T4,
yeah.
Has to be converted into T3, and that can cause problems. If you have too much estrogen, it can block all these things from happening. Yeah. It can block the conversion of T4 to T3. It can affect the production itself of T3. So you can see the thyroid is a very complicated, as that one patient mentioned, there's a lot of moving parts in the thyroid.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Which makes it extremely frustrating.
Yeah. And you know what? Think about this, too, because you and I have talked about this ad nauseum, is the importance of having in the liver enough cholesterol being produced, right? Because doctors are trying to lower your cholesterol, and you need cholesterol to transport your hormones. You ain't transporting. Even your T3 is not being transported properly because you're not making enough cholesterol. And people are trying to lower their cholesterol. Women trying to lower the cholesterol is the worst thing you can do.
Well, and that's the thing, right? One of the biggest causes of, really the biggest causes of thyroid issues has to do with the fact that somebody is insulin resistant because they cannot, it affects the conversion of T4 to T3. Also, it does some stuff with estrogen dominance, which will then block some more stuff from being made. So there's a much deeper issue going on. Let's end off this podcast by talking about the deeper issue. And let me just say this right off the top. If somebody has every thyroid symptom, they go to their doctor and they end up getting on Synthroid or some thyroid medication and they feel better, then that's awesome, right? You had a true thyroid problem, and that thyroid problem was resolved. However, if you're like most people, or most women that will be listening to this, and you go to your doctor and your levels are normal and you have every symptom, or you're constantly having to adjust your thyroid levels, this is what we're going to talk about now, which is the metabolic storm.
Yeah. You got to get this fixed because now, you won't feel good.
What is the metabolic storm?
Well, we love that term, right? Because it really is a complete metabolic storm. Specifically. It's not that it's impossible to happen to a man, but generally we're talking to women. The metabolic storm happens when your hormones are out of balance.
Yeah,
right?
And specifically, it's a combination, or we call it a metabolic storm, or a perfect storm of thyroid, adrenals, and ovaries.
Yep.
And those three things are messed up. So a person has an estrogen issue, they have a cortisol issue, and then they also have a thyroid issue. Yeah. And the combination of those three things creates this perfect storm. And for a lot of people, they'll experience every thyroid symptom in the book, yet their thyroid by all testing is coming out normal. There's a deeper issue going on. There's a metabolic storm going on. There's a problem with the adrenals, the ovaries. Now, we get this a lot of times, too. Well, I don't have my ovaries. Well, that means you were definitely in the metabolic storm because there's a definite estrogen issue going on as well in there.
And your body, even if you had a complete hysterectomy, a woman is still a woman. God's given you Plan B, right? You're still going to be secreting, not at the level you used to. And a lot of women, they're with their ovaries, they go into a menopause, and their estrogen sinks like the Titanic, and so that can affect the thyroid big time. It can affect the adrenal glands, and all of these things. That's why I love our biomarker testing, because we look for this. We think outside the box. We understand the endocrinology, the what happens in a woman's body. You have to think of all of that. Like you said, the metabolic storm is, you got to look at it holistically, the whole thing. And then this is where the results come.
Well, and that's why, for example, when a woman is in the metabolic storm, they can have thyroid symptoms, but the thyroid is a victim of the other stuff that's going on deeper down. So what ends up happening is they attempt to treat the thyroid by itself, or they try to isolate the thyroid and treat it, and they don't feel any better, which is why a lot of times if the levels are low and they get on medication, they don't feel any better, or they constantly have to get more medication because the thyroid might ramp up a bit, but then it slows down again. And the reason for that, again, has to do with the fact that the underlying problem, which we've coined the metabolic storm, has to be fixed. And that's what we really talk about in our metabolic storm program. We give you, our pretty much exact system that you would use in the clinic to help women fix the metabolic storm is in that program.
We got it figured out. That's the nice thing is it's, we know we know what to look for, and we know how, we know how to fix it too. I mean, that's the key, right? It's, it's nice.
Well, the results that people get are encouraging. And, this program was put together because of all the emails that we were getting from people who couldn't come to the clinic to see you. They couldn't get, your clinic's up in, Northern Ontario, and they just couldn't physically come to the clinic. So we put this program out there. But anyways, we're out of time here. So we just want to encourage you that if you're going through those symptoms where it just, you can't get any answers, you're having every symptom, but blood tests are coming back normal all the time, or you're constantly adjusting your medication, we just want to let you know
there's help.
There's help.
Yeah.
You're
gaining weight, there's help.
There's a solution out there. Yeah. And, your family doctor may not know about it, or, whatever healthcare practitioner you're going to may not know about it. But, there is help out there. And, again, we feel for you because this is something we see so often. We feel for you. So we want to thank you for listening to this episode. If you have any questions, you can, just email us. We got tremendous staff. We got health coaches. We're there to answer your questions. So you can email us at info@martinclinic.com. If you're not a newsletter subscriber, we write about a lot of these things, a couple times a week. We give a lot of information. So just go to our website, sign up for our newsletters, or just follow us on Facebook. You do a Facebook Live every Thursday morning.
Yep, 8:30 in the morning live.
Answer all the questions. People come on, they ask you whatever question. You answer all their questions. It's awesome. People love it. So, go to our Facebook page, follow us on Facebook. You'll get notified when you're out there doing all these Facebook Lives. So, again, we want to thank you for listening and have a great day.